We have over 1,300 members, and that includes affiliations with several local chambers and groups such as the South Shore Young Professionals, the South Shore Not-for-Profit Group, and we have an HR group within the chamber. So we're dealing with individual communities as well as the region, plus individual professional groups and industry groups. The 2030 plan is an economic development strategy to prepare the South Shore for the changes that are happening in the economy and in the greater Boston area. The whole objective of this is to make the South Shore more competitive as an economic market so that more people will have options for the types of careers and jobs they want closer to home and not necessarily have to make the choice that so many suburbanites have to of higher jobs with longer commutes, in this case being into Boston. We have a key strategic development plan which is on our website, www.southshore2030.com. It is a long-range plan on where the region stands in terms of its competitive relationship to the rest of the Boston market and what we need to do to be stronger. Right now we've been focusing on two key pieces of that. Infrastructure development that we need for growth, which includes not just transportation, but water and wastewater issues, and then housing. And it's interesting how we got into housing because really the strategy was the South Shore has been aging faster than the rest of metropolitan Boston. To change that demographic, we're going to have to change the way we look at housing on the South Shore in order to help attract younger professionals down to the South Shore. So just a few months ago we released a housing agenda, and what we looked at isn't purely the issue of affordable housing as most people understand it, which traditionally has been trying to artificially subsidize a very expensive housing market. Instead, what we looked at is what is the type of housing that younger professionals are looking for, and what's the type of housing that downsizing baby boomers are looking for. And what we find is we haven't been building enough of that type of housing, which turns out to often be less costly to build than what we normally build. But we aren't building enough of that housing that will attract younger professionals or appeal to them. And our approach is to work with communities and help lead the discussion about how we need to change our housing market down here and why we need to attract younger people. Trying to work with the development community and where we can with local officials and look at not only the type of housing but where that housing goes. So a key strategy for the South Shore is leveraging all of the mass transit stops that we have. And the idea behind that is younger professionals are being priced out of the Boston housing market. To get the kind of housing they can afford or need, they've got to move further outside of the city, but they need to have transportation in. We have the transportation network. What we really need to leverage, and we've been doing a lot of that in some areas of the South Shore, is building housing and interesting neighborhoods around those transit stops. And that will make the South Shore a key target, we think, for younger people to decide, you know, Boston's very expensive, there's some great things happening on the South Shore, let's move there and I can take the train or the boat even into Boston for my job. So we have a lot of large development opportunities here. Starting in Quincy, almost every place that there is a T-garage or stop is a great opportunity for new housing, and the mayor in Quincy's been doing a great job with that. Downtown Quincy is a particularly attractive development because it combines not only housing opportunity, but recreation, entertainment, dining, shopping, with professional office space. The biggest project probably in New England is Union Point, the old Weymouth Air Base project. That is moving forward. There are about 1,500 people living there now. And the first large commercial venture should be breaking ground in a couple of months. And that's going to be a Dutch robotics firm that's coming in. So you can see the type of businesses that we're hope to see more of on the South Shore. They're not necessarily looking to sell to our residents, but hire our residents and sell to a broader national, maybe even an international market. And we need to see more companies like that. Thrilled that that's happening. The Cottage Park in Plymouth is beginning to move. We've seen some of the roadway improvements there, but that's another project with rich potential at the southern part of the South Shore to combine transportation with housing with business development. So there are a few strategies on trying to recruit business. You can try to go to Seattle and convince Microsoft to come out here. That's a tough thing to do. You can try to go to Freeport, Maine and convince LL Bean to come down. Very hard to go out, pick your company and tell them to transfer here. What you can do is look at the strengths that you have or can create and hope that companies will begin to identify you, which large companies do. They look for types of sites that suit their needs. Our strategy is if you create a large enough workforce that is living down here and you have strong, interesting local communities to live and work in, more and more businesses are going to look to the South Shore, partly because our real estate is a little bit less expensive than the rest of metropolitan Boston, and partly because so many companies who are in the Boston area are employing people who live on the South Shore. So we think by attracting that workforce and building up stronger communities, we will naturally see all types of businesses, some of which we can't even predict, want to come here because this is where there is good workforce that will be anxious to work closer to their home rather than make the long commute. It's building stronger community, stronger entrepreneurial workforce, younger professionals down here, and then we think the businesses are going to grow out of that population as people change careers, or larger businesses are going to decide to locate here because this is where the workers are and the real estate is more reasonable than Boston if they don't need to be in Boston itself. So everybody knows the retail world is changing very quickly, partly because of the internet, partly because retail has become more competitive. We can't do much to change what's happening to retail trends. What we're looking at the Chamber is what happens to retail real estate, what happens to storefronts downtown, what happens to malls. And it's really interesting how that fits into the idea of stronger communities. We're working with some of the mall owners on the South Shore to explore introducing housing around the malls. The malls could become new downtowns, not just destinations for big chain retail, but because they have interesting activity in addition to shopping and that they are living centers. So we're trying to introduce more residential development in retail areas like malls or retail districts like Route 53 or Route 18 because real estate changes are going to affect local real estate. Good collaboration means getting a higher result or impact by partnering with another group or person that has some different and unique strengths that you don't. And the key to that is every partner has got to bring a unique strength or quality that helps create a synergy that creates a higher and more effective result.